Hello everyone and welcome to my Janeiro Hospital Daily Update channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Alexis must make a choice during ending arguments. Plus, both Anna and Valentine face trouble on Ladle Island. Jacinta heads to court with Michael as Dante runs into Jack outside of the courtroom and asks him if the WSB tampered with his substantiation. Nina appears and overhears the questioning when Ava happens to show up to support her friend. Na fears Drew's rant may damn Willow with the jury. Dante continues to question Jack knowing the WSB can hack into their department, but he doesn't know why they'd want Willow acquitted. Jack simply plays innocent. Where's Alexis? In court, Curtis finds Trina staying, and both are surprised to see one another. Curtis is there for Aurora's sake while Trina explains she's still supporting Kai. Drew continues to support Willow, telling her the jury will see that she's innocent. He also assures her that she'll get full guardianship of her kitties when Michael goes to captivity. Enough soon. Everyone starts to wonder where Alexis is. What will Alexis do? Alexis finds Diane at the office and needs to speak with her as her attorney. She says she defend her customer as Willow is shamefaced. Diane reminds her friend that the trial is over. However, also a mistrial will do if she steps down. Diane asks for details and Alexis tells her everything without naming Kai and Trina as her snitchers. Diane says if Alexis brings any of this up in closing arguments, she'll be disbarred for good this time. Alexis fears she's done such a good job. She's induced the jury will acquit Willow and also Michael could be charged unless she speaks the verity in her ending arguments. Diane reminds her that it would be unethical. Drew will ban her from Scout's life and the Solon will no way believe Willow is shamefaced. Diane suggests Alexis to look at the picture. Is her duty as a counsel more important than Scout's future? Alexis says Scout's future is obviously the most important thing. So Diane says she knows what she has to do. Pressures run high in court. At Windmere, Sidwell asks Jordan to go to Willow's trial as he's soliciting to re-evaluate Drew's utility to them after his outburst the other day. He mentions replacing Drew, which he notes he'd do as Drew was tagged. Sidwell says not to underrate him, and he always gets what he wants. Back in court, Jordan arrives and runs into Trina and Curtis. Trina takes off to be with Kai, and Jordan explains that Sidwell told her to come then to keep an eye on Drew. Suzanne arrives in court and makes defenses to Willow and Drew for why Alexis isn't yet. Willow seems questionable. Willow and Nina spot Michael sitting down in court with Jacinta. Meanwhile, Kai and Trina confer and wonder if Alexis believes them and that's why she's not. Then Dante and Justine bandandy whether Chase or Jack could have tampered with the substantiation. Anyhow, of who did it? Justine says they need to find the leak in the department and shut it down. Willow continues to cloud that Michael showed up with Jacinta, who she doesn't want near her children. Drew says Michael is smart, and when you're shamefaced, the stylish thing is to hold your head high and enunciate your innocence. Alexis eventually arrives in court, and the judge calls the court to order. Justine gives her ending arguments, cascading the crime on Willow, whom she paints as cold, calculating, and who planned the entire firing. She tells the jury they must find Willow shamefaced. Alexa stands up and with an apparent scrape in her voice as if she's been crying, says Willow didn't shoot. Drew is innocent and is a pillar of the community. She's a loving and devoted woman. And Mama, nothing is perfect. Not indeed. Willow, who did fall in love with another man while wedded to Michael. Alexis also paints Michael as the shooter who framed Willow out of wrathfulness and covetousness. She also suggests they ask why a tried killer would hang on to the gun. The only piece of substantiation that ties her to the crime. Still, Alexis makes a boob when she says, Willow had every occasion. My bad. My customer is on my mind. Michael had every occasion. She goes on to point the cutlet at Michael. While saying, Willow is innocent and only wants to be with her children. Marco issues a trouble. At the sanitarium, Marco meets with Britt and says they're falling behind in their design regarding the competition. Britt says that's his father's fault for killing Dalton. They're also missing a lab thanks to Dalton trashing his. Marco says his father has set up a lab on Ladle Island for her. Britt exclaims that she can't work there. She'll run into Lucas, who hates her, and if Lucas finds out what he's doing, Marco will lose him. Marco warns her no way to use Lucas to hang him again. Britt notes she seemed go back and forth to Ladle Islet without being seen. So Marco suggests she vanish for a while and work there while remaining hidden. He reminds her that they control the drug keeping her alive. Marco storms out. Anna, Carly, and Valentine go into action. Pascal brings food to Anna's cell, formally again ordering her to face the wall as he comes in. This time, however, she turns around, looks at him, sits down and seems to be weak. She tells him commodity is wrong and explains her rare blood cancer to him and that she needs regular treatments. However, she's dead if she doesn't get one soon. In Carly's garret, Valentine tells Carly it's time to take a threat and that she needs to search Jack's hostel. They argue back and forth before she eventually agrees to do it. He tells her that anything really ruinous or top secret will be in hard dupe form. As Jack knows digital can be addressed, so there's likely commodity in his room. Valentine says he'll give her with a bug scanner and suggests she search false bottoms and snuggeries under chairpersons' tables and lounges. In the meantime, he's going to go compass out what's going on with Sidwell in Ladle Island. Back on Ladle Island, Pascal reports to Sidwell about Anna's claims. Sidwell tells his butler Mianiel to keep an eye on her. Ava shows up to inform Sidwell that she has the contact information for an artist from Colombia he likes and that she has 5 new pieces no bone is seen. He suggests they head to his office to converse with the artist on his big screen computer. Meanwhile, Pascal goes down to the cell and finds Anna passed out on the ground. When he checks on her, she attacks him and they fight over his gun. Carly heads to Jack's room at the Metro Court and begins searching. She finds some documents under a false office bottom and snappily photographs them. In the show's final moments in court, the jury is transferred to deliberate. Kai and Trina bandandy how Willow might get down with this while Drew tells Willow she'll walk out of then a free woman. Alexis gives Kai and Trina a look. In Jack's room, Carly overhears Britt and Jack yelling in the hall. Britt demands to speak with him, so they head outside. Carly hides in the restroom and thinks snappily, grabbing a mask and undressing. Meanwhile, Britt tells Jack that his plan for her to give him Sidwell's data went. Ava finds Valentine poking around the fireplace. In the living room at Windmere, she informs him she got relief of the detector to the secret passage long agonies if Jens knows he's harboring a fugitive. In her cell/room, Anna gets the gun from Pascal and aims it right at him. Back in court, Dante speaks with Justine, who worries this isn't a slam immerse. Drew tells Na it was a smart move to hire Alexis, and this is playing out exactly how he promised Willow. Michael tells Justinda it's all going to come down to whether the jury feels sorry for Willow. Eventually, Willow thanks Alexis and says she gave her the stylish defense possible, and if she's freed, it'll be because of her. On the coming General Hospital, Jason asks Britt to go out with him. Jack yells at someone for being in his room, and Carly panics as her and Valentine's plan may have just been blown. General Hospital spoilers update for Tuesday, January 13th, reveals that Ava Jerome will have a wild hassle while Drew Cain makes an oath and Diane Miller returns for a Willow Cain stunner. As Drew presumably promises Willow her freedom and a reunion with her children, she'll reflect on how awful that would be. Willow will continue to treat Drew like her idol and leave him awaiting a joyful new chapter together. But she obviously can't stand him. Still, Willow knows the situation is complicated, so she's taking all this one step at a time. The most important thing right now is making sure Willow gets a not shamefaced verdict. So, she'll count on Alexis Davis to deliver an important ending argument. Of course, the situation is complicated for Alexis, too, now that she's verified Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor's proposition about Willow's guilt. Alexis will need to get what she's learned off her casket, so she'll get ready to entrust in Diane soon enough. Diane will indeed be back in Tuesday's occasion following a long absence due to Carolyn Hennessy's broken leg and multiple surgeries. Hennessy is recovering nicely, so she'll step back into the part of Diane and face quite a Willow stunner. While Alexis spills to Diane about Willow being the real shooter, Trina's conduct will leave Curtis Ashford puzzled. Curtis wouldn't get why Trina is still interested in Willow's case. So, Trina will have to come up with an explanation to throw him off the trail. Coming Ada Justine Turner will push Dante Falconer to plug a police department leak as she gears up for her own ending argument in court. Over with Jordan Ashford. She'll feel a bit unnerved as Jen Sidwell makes it clear that he's not someone to be undervalued. Sidwell has a knack for pulling off his pretensions. So, he'll be whale to Jordan on Tuesday's show. At GH, Marco Rios will refuse to back off despite Britt War's frustration. So, bad news is brewing. Britt will wish she could just be done with all the drama of Caesar Faison's final design, but Marco will hang her and keep her in line rather. As for Valentine Cassadine, he'll talk to Carly about taking an adventure bone that she may not authorize of. Since Valentine thinks it's stylish if he changes layers, it looks like he'll risk everything by hiding on Ladle Island. Carly will flip out. Formerly Valentine offers updates on his coming move, but she will be suitable to talk him out of it. Eventually, General Hospital spoilers say Ava will have a wild hassle, so it sounds like Valentine's going to leave her startled. General Hospital spoilers and updates indicate that a peril alert has been issued regarding Avery Corinthos. Will Sonny Corinthos' concerns about Ava Jerome and Jen Sidwell turn out to be justified? Laura talked to Sonny about Sidwell's interest in both Lucy and Ava. In the December 9th occasion of GH, Laura Collins bandied Sidwell's interest in both Lucy Coe and Ava with Sonny. Sonny theorized that Sidwell's interest in Ava might be further about demonstrating his capability to get close to Avery and disrupt his life. Anyhow, of whether this is one of Sidwell's intentions, he's clearly spending considerable time with Avery's mama. In the forthcoming weeks, Sidwell and Ava are set to come closer, which can only spell trouble. Ava is likely to establish a genuine cooperation with Sidwell, particularly after she informs him about a trespasser on Ladle Island. Ava might discover Valentine on the property and warn Sidwell, who wants to recruit him for his platoon. It appears that Ava will raise the alarm regarding Valentine Cassadine being on the domain, which will earn her Sidwell's appreciation. Sidwell will begin to see Ava as a pious supporter, someone ready to get her hands dirty alongside him. While Lucy is also a schemer, Ava might be more inclined to turn an eyeless eye to Sidwell's unconscionable styles and deal with the adversaries he creates. Ultimately, Sidwell might decide to part ways with Lucy and concentrate solely on Ava as his primary romantic interest. The magnet between Ava and Sidwell seems genuine, which is another factor to consider. Sidwell is a dangerous villain who should not be around children. Nevertheless, Sidwell is a dangerous villain who shouldn't be around children. This is inarguable. So, what if Sidwell decides to move Ava to Windmere? This could mean Avery would also spend a lot of time at Windmere, which Sonny would surely oppose. We also know that Ava and Carly Spencer are preparing for a renewed contest, which might involve Avery, at least in part. Carly is still defensive of her former stepdaughter, so she might intermediate for Avery's benefit and come worried about AA's growing bond with Sidwell. She knows he's not to be trusted. Still, Avery could be in real peril, considering he made pitfalls against Ace Cassadine, and he could also against Donna Corinthos if Sidwell turns against Ava in the future. As the courtroom doors closed and the murmur of the gallery faded into a tense hush, Alexis Davis set up herself standing at the center of a legal and moral storm, one that would demand a choice during ending arguments that could reshape not only the outgrowth of the case, but the fragile balance of her own heart. Because this wasn't simply about winning or losing. It was about verity, fidelity, and the haunting consummation that every word she spoke could ripple through the lives of people she loved. Indeed, as long hauls down on the mist-shrouded grounds of Ladle Island, both Anna Dean and Valentine Cassadine were discovering that secrets long buried had a way of clawing their way back to the face, hanging to destroy everything they had worked so hard to cover. In the courtroom, Alexis heated as opposing counsel painted a ruinous picture, one that leaned heavily on particular substantiation and emotional appeal. And she knew that with a many precisely chosen expression, she could strike the argument entirely. But doing so would mean exposing a verity she had sworn to keep retired bone. That intertwined an innocent party in the court of public opinion. Indeed, if it might eventually save them in the long run, while Judge's eyes remained fixed on her, quietly prompting her to do, ignorant of the internal war raging behind her composed surface, Alexis allowed of her daughters, of the innumerous times she had told them that integrity signified further than palm, and yet then she was forced to decide whether the law was stylish, served by strict adherence to procedure, or by revealing a painful verity that could bring justice at a ruinous particular cost. And as she rose to deliver her ending argument, every breath felt heavy, each pause deliberate, as if the room itself were holding its breath along with her. She began methodically outlining the data, challenging the hypotheticals, and also just when it sounded she'd play it safe, she veered off script, her voice tensing as she indicated to substantiation, no way completely explored. Substantiation that reframed motives and exposed a retired chain of events. And gasps gurgled through the courtroom as it came clear that Alexis was choosing verity over convenience. Indeed, if it meant alienating abettors and inviting counter-reaction that could follow her long after the verdict was read. At the same time, Ladle Island was anything but peaceful as Anna Dean paced the grand hall, the echoes of her steps matching the pounding of her heart while Valentine watched her with a blend of concern and frustration because the warning they had dismissed weeks before had proven all too real. Someone knew what they had done. Someone had evidence, and that someone was closing in presto. The islet, once a symbol of Valentine's power and heritage, now felt like a trap. Every corridor hiding the possibility of treason, every shadow of memorial that their once sins were demanding payment. And when Anna eventually confessed that the trouble they faced was bigger than either of them had anticipated, tied to intruncational disquisition and a missing train that could interlace them both, Valentine's precisely constructed calm cracked, revealing a flash of genuine fear beneath his trademark bravado. He tried to assure her, averring that they had survived worse, that Ladle Island had defended Cassadines for generations. But Anna, seasoned by times and spying, knew better than to trust gravestone walls and ancient legends, especially when their adversaries were patient, calculating, and unafraid to strike close to home. Back in the courtroom, Alexis reached the climax of her ending argument. Her words now pigmented with raw emotion as she addressed the jury directly, prompting them to look beyond narratives drafted for convenience and to consider the uncomfortable trueness that lay beneath. And in that moment, it was clear she had made her choice, not just as an attorney, but as a woman determined to live with herself after the verdict was rendered, no matter the consequences. The jury heeded hardly, some seesawing, others visibly shaken. And as Alexis concluded, the silence that followed was profound, signaling that whatever the outgrowth, the case had irrevocably changed everyone involved. On Ladle Island, that same sense of ineluctability impended as Anna and Valentine discovered that the missing train had been hidden within the island itself. A cruel twist that meant the peril was approaching from outdoors, but had been with them all on. And as admonitions sounded and lights flitted, they realized that trust between them would be tested as no way ahead because survival now depended on complete honesty, commodity both had plotted with for times. Anna brazened Valentine about half-trueness he'd kept, while Valentine indicted Anna of undervaluing the cost of her once alliances. And yet, amid the recriminations, there was also a participated resoluteness, a recognition that whatever trouble they faced, they would face it together or not at each. As the occasion drew toward its climax, the parallels between Alexis's choice in the courtroom and Anna and Valentine's reckoning on Ladle Island came insolvable to ignore, because all three were standing at crossroads where the once collided with the present, demanding responsibility and courage. And as the jury prepared to meditate and the islet's secrets hovered to explode into the open, one thing was certain: Port Charles would not crop from these events unchanged. And the choices made during these vital moments would resonate for weeks, if not times to come, reconsidering alliances, exposing retired trueness, and reminding everyone involved that in a city erected on secrets, the most dangerous thing of all is eventually telling the verity. As night fell over Port Charles, the weight of the day's exposure settled heavily on everyone touched by them, stretching the consequences of Alexis's decision far beyond the courtroom walls. Because while the jury retired to deliberate, whispers formerly spread through the halls of justice, attorneys swapping cautious ganders and journalists seeing that commodity ABC Darien had shifted, and Alexis herself, seated still with her hands folded, felt neither triumph nor relief, only the sobering mindfulness that she had crossed a line from which there was no easy retreat. Indeed, as recollections of once negotiations flitted through her mind, reminding her how frequently she had chosen silence before, and how different this choice felt, sharper and further exposed, as if she had eventually stopped shielding herself from the fallout she had long stressed. She wondered whether the jury would understand the nuance of what she had done, or whether they would see only treason of prospects. And yet, despite the query, a calm resoluteness settled in her casket because for the first time in a long while, she knew she had recognized the law not as an armament, but as a glass reflecting uncomfortable reality. Meanwhile, on Ladle Island, chaos strengthened as Anna and Valentine contended through hidden corridors. The island's ancient security systems coming alive in ways Valentine had no way completely bared. And with every locked door and publicizing alarm, the verity between them grew harder to ignore. Forcing old injuries to renew as Anna questioned whether Valentine's instinct to control every variable had eventually put them in mortal peril. While Valentine, bristling under the blameworthiness, combed that Anna's history of covert operations had left a trail too tempting for their adversaries to repel. Their argument, sharp and critical, was intruded when they uncovered substantiation that the missing train had formerly been penetrated. Meaning someone differently was still on the islet, watching, staying, and the consummation bound them together in a fragile armistice, because survival now needed trust forged under pressure rather than convenience. Back in city, the jury returned sooner than anticipated, and as they filed in, Alexis lifted her head, meeting their eyes one by one, seeing that her words had landed more deeply than she had dared stop-gap. And when the verdict was read, one that reflected complexity rather than absolutes, a collaborative breath was released, marking not an end, but a morning, as the verity she had revealed set new examinations in stir, and forced important numbers to defy scrutiny they had long finessed.